The sun was a giant orange orb. It kissed the horizon of the African savanna. Long shadows stretched across the golden grass like dark fingers. The sky was a masterpiece of color. Deep reds melted into soft purples and vibrant oranges. This was the golden hour. It's a time of beauty, but also a time of danger. The heat of the day was fading away. A cool breeze began to whisper through the acacia trees. The landscape was vast and open, a sea of grass dotted with ancient, twisted trees. This was a world where life and death danced together every single day, a beautiful but unforgiving stage. This is the world of the leopard. We've watched them for many years. We see their stories unfold in these wild places. The sunset paints everything in a soft, warm light. It makes the savanna look peaceful, but we know the truth. The coming darkness wakes the hunters. The night belongs to the predators. Every rustle in the grass could be a threat. Every shadow could hide an enemy. For the animals that call this place home, the end of the day is not a time for rest. It is the beginning of a long and watchful night. In this stunning light, a lone figure moved with silent grace. She was a leopard, a mother named Malaika. Her coat was a canvas of black rosettes on a golden background, a perfect camouflage for the dappled light of the bush. She moved low to the ground, her muscles rippling beneath her skin with controlled power. Her eyes, the color of amber, scanned everything. They missed nothing. She was the embodiment of feline perfection, a solitary hunter shaped by millions of years of evolution to survive in this harsh, beautiful land. For Malaika, the sunset was a signal. It was time to find a safe place for the night. Her senses were on high alert. The scent of dust and dry grass filled the air. She heard the distant call of a guinea fowl settling down for the night. She felt the vibrations of the earth through the pads of her paws. Every detail was processed, every risk calculated. This was her kingdom, but she shared it with giants and rivals. The beauty of the sunset was just a backdrop for the real drama of survival that was about to unfold. Following closely behind Malaika was a tiny, spotted creature. This was her cub, just a few months old. He was a miniature version of his mother, full of playful energy and innocence. His eyes were wide with curiosity. He tried to pounce on his own shadow. He stumbled over his own clumsy paws. For him, the world was a playground. He did not yet understand the dangers that lurked in every thicket and behind every termite mound. His safety depended entirely on his mother's strength, her wisdom, and her constant watchfulness. A leopard mother's life is a cycle of endless vigilance. She is a single parent in the truest sense. The father plays no role in raising the young, so Malaika had to do everything herself. She had to hunt for two, providing the food her growing cub needed. She had to teach him the essential skills of a predator, how to stalk, how to climb, and how to stay hidden. Most importantly, she had to protect him from a world filled with enemies. Her life was not her own anymore. It was dedicated to ensuring the survival of this one small, precious life. Every day was a series of life and death decisions. Where is the safest place to leave the cub while she hunts? Which prey is worth the risk of a fight? Which tree offers the best escape route? She often moved her cub from one den to another. This was to avoid leaving a scent trail that other predators could follow. She would carry him gently in her mouth, his small body dangling, completely trusting her. Her journey was a constant search for security in a world that offered very little of it. She was always on the move, always alert. The bond between Malaika and her cub was powerful. It was visible in every interaction. She would groom him with her rough tongue, cleaning his fur and reinforcing their connection. She would tolerate his playful ambushes, her tail twitching with a mix of annoyance and affection. In these quiet moments, you could see the depth of her maternal instinct. This small cub was her legacy. He was the future of her lineage, and she would do anything, face any danger, to make sure he had a chance to see another sunrise. The balance of power on the savanna is delicate. Leopards are powerful predators. They are masters of stealth and ambush, but they are not at the top of the food chain. They live in the shadow of a more dominant hunter, the lion. Lions are the kings of the savanna, and they do not tolerate rivals. They see leopards not as fellow predators, but as competition. Competition for food, for territory, and for dominance. A lone leopard is no match for the collective power of a lion pride. This rivalry is ancient and brutal. Lions will actively hunt and kill leopards whenever they get the chance. They are not hunting for food. They are eliminating a competitor. This is especially true for leopard cubs. A lion will kill a cub without hesitation. By doing this, they remove a future rival before it can grow strong. For a leopard mother like Malika, the roar of a lion in the distance is not just a sound, it is a death sentence for her young if she is not careful. The smell of a lion is the smell of fear. So Malika's life was a constant game of avoidance. She learned to read the signs of lion activity. She listened for their deep, resonant roars that traveled for miles. She scanned the horizon for the telltale, golden bodies moving through the grass. She knew which waterholes the local pride preferred and made sure to stay far away. Her territory overlapped with theirs, creating a landscape of fear. Every tree she climbed, every path she took, was chosen with the threat of lions in mind. She was a ghost in her own land, forced to live in the margins. The lion's motivation is simple: survival of the fittest. By eliminating leopards, they secure more resources for their own pride and their own cubs. It is a harsh but effective strategy in a world where resources are limited. The savanna is not a peaceful kingdom with a benevolent king. It is a battlefield of competing dynasties. The lion's strength is in their numbers and their social structure. The leopard's strength is in her secrecy and her solitude. It is an ongoing war, fought not in grand battles, but in moments of deadly encounter. As dusk settled deeper over the plains, the air grew still. Malika had found a promising spot for the night. A dense cluster of granite rocks, known as a kopje. These rocky outcrops were fortresses for leopards. They offered high vantage points and numerous cracks and caves to hide a cub. She nudged her little one towards a narrow crevice, a safe den where he would be protected from most dangers. She planned to hunt nearby, never straying too far. The plan was sound, born of experience and instinct, but danger does not always announce itself with a roar. Sometimes it arrives on silent paws. Unseen by Malika, 3 figures were moving through the twilight. They were lions, not a pride with females and cubs, but a more dangerous combination, 3 nomadic males. They were brothers, driven from their own pride, now roaming the land together. They were a coalition of pure power, hungry, aggressive, and eager to claim new territory. And they had picked up a scent on the wind. These nomadic males are the most dangerous force on the savanna. They are constantly fighting to establish their own kingdom. To do that, they must eliminate all competition. That includes other male lions, and it certainly includes leopards. They had been patrolling the edge of this territory for days. Tonight, the faint scent of leopard led them directly towards the kopje. They moved with a purpose that was terrifying. Their large paws made almost no sound on the soft earth. They were shadows in the growing darkness, closing in. Malika, for a moment, relaxed her guard. She was focused on settling her cub. She licked his head one last time before turning to scan the plains for prey. That was the moment the wind shifted. A new scent reached her, thick and musky. It was the unmistakable smell of lion. Her entire body went rigid. Her ears swiveled, trying to pinpoint the source. Her heart began to pound. The peace of the evening was shattered. The sanctuary she had chosen was about to become a trap. The lions appeared as if from nowhere. One moment, there was only empty savanna. The next, 3 massive, shaggy-maned heads rose above the grass. They were larger than Malika could have imagined. Their muscles bulged under their tawny coats. They were a solid wall of power. They did not roar. They did not need to. Their presence alone was a declaration of war. They fanned out, their movements coordinated and strategic. They were forming a circle around the base of the kopje. There was no escape. Malika's mind raced. Her first instinct was to flee, to climb the highest rocks and disappear into the cracks. But she was not alone. Her cub was hidden in the crevice, just a few feet away. She could not abandon him. Leaving him would mean certain death. The lions knew this. They could smell the cub, they could sense her fear and her indecision. The trap was not just the circle of lions, the trap was her own love for her child. She was anchored to this spot by the most powerful force in nature, a mother's instinct. The lead lion, the largest of the three, took a step forward. He lowered his head and let out a low, rumbling growl. It was a sound that vibrated through the ground, a promise of violence. He was testing her, gauging her reaction. His yellow eyes were fixed on her, cold and calculating. The other two lions moved to block any potential escape routes. One circled to the left, the other to the right. They were experienced hunters. They knew how to work together to bring down any animal, no matter how fast or agile. The suspense was unbearable. The air was thick with tension. Every second stretched into an eternity. Malika stood frozen on the rock, a statue of spotted fury. She was trapped between the hunters on the ground and the precious life she had hidden. The sun had completely set now. The world was cast in shades of grey and black. The only light came from the moon, which cast long, eerie shadows. The stage was set for a primal battle, a mother against an army. Faced with impossible odds, Malika did not surrender to fear. Instead, a different emotion took over, pure, protective rage. Her body language transformed. She lowered herself, her muscles coiling like a spring, her ears flattened against her skull, her lips peeled back to reveal a fearsome set of long, white canines. A sound erupted from her throat, not a growl, but a guttural, rasping snarl. It was the sound of defiance. It was a clear message to the lions. You will have to go through me. She was a whirlwind of defensive fury. One of the younger lions, bolder than the others, tried to scramble up the rocks. Malika met him with a blindingly fast strike. Her paw, armed with razor-sharp claws, shot out and slashed across his nose. The lion recoiled with a yelp of surprise and pain, shaking his head. He had not expected such a fierce counterattack from an animal so much smaller than himself. Malika's bravery bought her a few precious seconds. She used them to reposition herself, placing her body directly in front of the crevice hiding her cub. Her courage was a magnificent, terrifying thing to witness. She was hopelessly outmatched in size and strength. 3 lions weighed more than 10 leopards. A single blow from a lion's paw could break her back. But in that moment, she was not thinking about her own survival. Her entire universe had shrunk to one single purpose: to be a living shield for her child. She hissed and spat, her tail lashing back and forth like a whip. She was a cornered animal, and that made her dangerously unpredictable. The lions were momentarily confused by her aggression. They were used to leopards fleeing, climbing trees to escape. They were not used to one standing its ground and fighting back with such ferocity. They circled the rocks, growling their frustration. They probed her defenses, looking for an opening, a moment of weakness. But Malika gave them none. She met every advance with a snarl and a show of claws. She was fighting a battle she could not win, but she was determined to make it cost them dearly. Hidden deep within the narrow crack in the rock, the world had become a storm of terrifying sounds. The cub could hear the deep, rumbling growls of the lions. He could hear the furious, spitting snarls of his mother. He could smell the scent of danger, an acrid smell that made his tiny body tremble. He was too young to understand the battle for his life that was raging just outside his sanctuary. All he knew was that his mother was out there, and she was in trouble. He pressed himself further into the darkness, his small heart beating like a drum. The stakes of this conflict could not be higher. For the lions, it was a matter of territory and dominance. If they failed, they would simply move on, their pride only slightly wounded. But for Malaika, failure was not an option. Failure meant the end of her lineage. It meant the loss of the cub she had carried, nursed, and protected for months. All her effort, all her sacrifice would be for nothing. The future of her bloodline was hiding in that crevice, small and vulnerable, listening to the sounds of the fight. This cub represented more than just one life. He was a symbol of hope for his species. Leopards face immense pressure in the modern world. They are losing their habitats. They come into conflict with humans. The survival of every single cub is critical for the long-term health of the population. This tiny, frightened animal was a genetic treasure, carrying the legacy of generations of survivors. His life was a fragile flame in the wind, and his mother was the only thing shielding it from the storm. The vulnerability of the cub made his mother's bravery even more profound. She was not just fighting for herself. Every slash, every snarl was for him. She was buying him time. She was teaching him, even in this moment of terror, the most important lesson of the wild: the will to survive. The cub, huddled in the dark, could not see his mother's courage, but he could feel it. It was in the vibrations of her snarls that echoed through the rock. It was a promise that she would not abandon him. The standoff on the kopje was more than just a fight between animals. It was a perfect illustration of the harsh reality of nature. This was no fairy tale. There was no good or evil. There were only living beings driven by ancient, powerful instincts. The lions were driven by the need to secure their territory and eliminate rivals. Malaika was driven by the fierce, uncompromising need to protect her offspring. It was a clash of two of the most powerful forces in the natural world: the drive for dominance and the drive for maternal protection. This battle was a raw and honest display of what it takes to survive on the savanna. Life here is a constant struggle. It is a world of incredible beauty, but also of relentless brutality. We often romanticize nature, but the reality is that for every peaceful sunset, there is a life or death struggle happening in the shadows. The fight between Malaika and the lions was a microcosm of this larger truth. Survival is not given, it is earned, moment by moment, through strength, cunning, and sometimes sheer, desperate courage. The determination of the leopard was etched on her face. Her muscles were screaming with fatigue. Her throat was raw from snarling, but she did not falter. She held her ground. She was a solitary warrior against a triumvirate of kings. Her fight seemed hopeless, but it was not pointless. It was a testament to the power of an individual to resist, to fight back against overwhelming odds. She was demonstrating that even in the face of certain defeat, there is honor and power in defiance. The conflict could not last forever. The energy of both sides began to wane. The lions, having sustained a few scratches and realizing this was more trouble than it was worth, grew hesitant. They had not expected such a prolonged and spirited defense. Their attack lost its coordination. Their frustration grew. For them, this was a battle of opportunity. For Malaika, it was a battle for everything. And that difference in motivation was beginning to shift the balance. Courage was proving to be a weapon as powerful as brute strength. As the night wore on, a subtle change occurred. The lion's resolve began to crumble. The big male, the leader, had a bloody scratch on his muzzle from Malaika's claws. They had tested the leopard's defenses and found them unbreakable. This was not an easy kill. It was a fight, and they were expending too much energy. With a final, frustrated growl, the leader turned his back. The other two followed his lead. They were not defeated, but they were no longer interested. They melted back into the darkness in search of easier conquests. Malaika did not relax. She stood her ground long after the lions had disappeared. She listened, her ears twitching, until she could no longer hear their soft footfalls. She scanned the horizon until her eyes ached. Only when she was absolutely certain that the danger had passed did she allow her body to tremble. Exhaustion washed over her. She turned and went to the crevice. With a soft chuff, a sound of reassurance, she called to her cub. A small, spotted head emerged from the darkness. He was safe. The first light of dawn began to break over the savanna. The sky turned from black to a soft, pearly grey, then to a pale pink. A new day was beginning. For Malika and her cub, it was a day they had almost not lived to see. This night would leave a mark. It was a harsh lesson in the brutal realities of their world, but it was also a lesson in courage and resilience. Malika had faced the ultimate test of a mother and had not been found wanting. She had stood against the kings and won. This is the story of all wild mothers. They live on a knife's edge. They face constant threats to their young, from predators, from starvation, from the elements. Their love is expressed not in gentle lullabies, but in fierce battles and sleepless nights. Survival in this world is never guaranteed. Sometimes it comes down to being in the right place at the right time. But other times, as we saw with Malika, survival depends on something more. It depends on the depth of a mother's courage, a force of nature as powerful and as undeniable as the rising sun.